Arab millionaire Ali al-Rashid decides to go undercover as a driver to follow his wife's secret life, and what he discovers will break his heart. In the big city of Dubai, where tall glass towers touch the sky and the desert whispered old stories, Ali was born into a world of wealth that most people could only dream of. From the moment he was born, he was surrounded by luxury, silk clothes, and grand buildings. But even with all this, Ali felt something missing inside him, like a seed waiting to grow. Life in the al-Rashid mansion was full of valuable art, shining fountains, and peacocks walking proudly in the garden. But despite all the beauty around him, Ali felt a deep emptiness inside. When Ali was old enough, he found comfort in his family's huge library. It was a big room with shelves from floor to ceiling, filled with books that smelled of paper and ink, and maps that showed places beyond his home. He loved reading about faraway lands, ancient cultures, and people who lived freely, following their hearts instead of rules. Ali's amber eyes would light up with excitement as he imagined walking the same paths as the explorers and scholars in the books. He started to dream of going beyond the bright city of Dubai to places he had never been before, places that seemed familiar even though he didn't know them. But the more Ali wanted to explore, the more pressure he felt from his family. His father, Hassan, was a powerful man in the oil industry. He admired his son's curiosity, but also feared what Ali might lose by going beyond Dubai's walls. Ali's mother, Zainab, was kinder but also strong in her beliefs. She held on to traditions that had kept their family powerful for many years. She often reminded him of his engagement to Aisha, his cousin, whom he had been promised to since childhood. They had grown up together, but both of them knew that the love their families expected from them wasn't real. Their families had planned this marriage to keep their bloodline strong, but whenever Ali looked at Aisha, he saw the same uncertainty in her eyes that he felt in himself. He thought, love should come naturally, not be forced. But out of respect for his family's traditions, Ali kept his feelings to himself. As Ali grew older, his desire for freedom only got stronger, especially with the constant talk about his upcoming marriage. When he turned 18, the pressure became too much. He decided to study finance in the United States, a choice that shocked his family. His mother, Zainab, cried, worried that Ali might be lost to the temptations of a foreign country. Hassan, though he didn't like the idea, saw it as an opportunity for Ali to gain knowledge that could benefit the family's empire. Still, he worried that sending Ali away would make him forget the traditions that had always held the family together. Before Ali left, he was reminded once more of his duty to marry Aisha. Standing in front of her, he felt guilty and confused. Aisha looked at him with an expression he didn't fully understand, a mix of sadness and hope. Ali looked for a sign from her, something that might change the tradition binding them, but he only saw the same doubt he felt inside. So on a cool morning with the sun rising over the desert, Ali made the decision to leave. He boarded a plane, leaving behind the familiar life he knew, his family's worries, and the weight of the engagement that had always hung over him. For the first time, he felt free, even though it came with a bittersweet feeling. The journey to America was not just about traveling. It was a break from everything Ali had known. It was a chance to learn, explore, and maybe even become the person he had always dreamed of being. He carried one thought in his heart. One day he would return, not just as the heir to the al-Rashid fortune, but as someone who truly understood the world and his place in it. With each mile he traveled, the weight of duty faded, and Ali's dreams grew bigger. He didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, he allowed himself to hope for something beyond the legacy his family had planned for him. When the plane landed in New York City, Ali felt his heart race, not from fear, but from the excitement of new beginnings. In America, Ali focused hard on his studies, soaking up knowledge like a sponge. Far from the fancy Dubai parties, he discovered the simple beauty of hard work. His classmates, from all over the world, taught him that the wealth of the mind was worth more than any material riches. In his last year of university, Ali received news that would change his life forever. Aisha, along with her mother, decided to visit him in the United States. Ali, excited but nervous, prepared to welcome them. But fate had other plans. The plane carrying Aisha and her mother disappeared into the Atlantic Ocean and never reached its destination. The tragedy hit Ali hard, like a sandstorm, leaving everything in its path shaken. For days he wandered the streets of New York, feeling lost, searching for answers in a world that suddenly felt empty and meaningless. During those dark days, he decided to stay in America, putting all his energy into work and building a life far from the painful memories of Dubai. Over time, Ali made a name for himself in finance, but soon he received news that his father was seriously ill. Without thinking twice, Ali took the first flight back to Dubai, leaving behind the life he had built. When Ali arrived, he found his father on his deathbed. With his last breath, his father asked him to take over the family business. Ali, feeling both sadness and determination, accepted the responsibility that had always been his. Coming back to Dubai felt like waking up from a long sleep. The city had changed, with new buildings reaching higher into the sky, but the desert air and the smells of the market were the same. Ali dove into work, learning everything about the oil business his father had worked so hard to build. Long nights at the office and endless meetings became his routine, filling the emptiness left by his father's death. It was during one of those late nights that he met Lyla. She was a young receptionist with emerald green eyes and dark hair like the night sky. She entered his office to deliver some forgotten documents, and her beauty stood out like an oasis in the middle of a dry desert. But it was her warm, sincere smile that truly caught his attention. From that moment, Ali found reasons to stop by her desk, exchanging friendly words with Lyla. Over time, he discovered there was more to her than just her looks. Lyla was smart, kind, and her laughter was like music. She seemed wise beyond her years. Despite the big differences in their lives, Ali found himself falling deeply in love with her. Their meetings became more frequent, and soon they were spending time together outside of work. Ali would take Lyla to fancy restaurants and give her expensive jewelry, but he noticed that Lyla seemed to enjoy the simple things more. A walk along the beach at sunset, a quiet cup of coffee in the market, or talking under the stars. Their relationship grew quickly, like rare flowers blossoming after a rainstorm. In Lyla, Ali found someone he could trust and rely on. She listened without judging, gave advice without pretending to know everything, and loved him without conditions. For the first time, Ali felt like he had found a home, not in a place, but in a person. 6 months after their first meeting, on a night lit by a full moon and city lights, Ali proposed to Lyla. He didn't use a ring or make a grand gesture. He just spoke from his heart. Lyla, with tears in her eyes, accepted, sealing her promise with a kiss that felt full of hope for the future. Their engagement quickly became the talk of Dubai. People couldn't stop gossiping and asking who this woman was, who had won the heart of the city's most eligible bachelor. Ali's mother Zainab was shocked and suspicious. She believed no woman could ever be good enough for her son, especially not a simple receptionist. Despite the rumors and disapproval, Ali and Lyla got married in a ceremony that combined Dubai's high society style with the simplicity that Lyla loved. They exchanged vows under an arch of white roses, with the sun setting behind them, painting the sky with shades of gold and red. Ali felt like he had finally found his place in the world, but even in that moment of happiness, a shadow of doubt appeared in his mind, planted by the harsh words of those who couldn't believe in a love that went beyond social class. The first few months of marriage were like a dream for Ali and Lyla. Every morning, Ali woke up happy to find Lyla by his side, her hair spread out on the pillow like the night sky. They spent their afternoons exploring the city, discovering places Ali had never seen before. Lyla had a special way of seeing beauty in the everyday, turning a simple walk through the market into a fun adventure full of color, smells, and laughter. However, like the calm before a storm, this happiness was soon tested. The whispers of high society, which had started off quiet, began to get louder. At gatherings and events, Ali could feel the stares and hear the conversation stop when he entered the room. His mother didn't try to hide her disapproval, treating Lyla with cold politeness that barely covered her dislike. One evening, after a tense dinner with his mother, Ali felt the first crack in his trust in Lyla. As they prepared for bed, he noticed how Lyla avoided looking at him and how her answers were short and unclear. Could his mother's words have made him doubt her? Could there be some truth to what she said, that Lyla was only with him for his wealth? The seed of doubt grew quickly. Ali began noticing little things he hadn't paid attention to before. He saw how uncomfortable Lyla looked when he gave her expensive gifts, or how her eyes sometimes wandered to the poorer parts of the city. Did she feel trapped in this life of luxury? With his mind filled with confusion, Tariq, his trusted chauffeur, approached him with news that shook his world. Tariq quietly told him that he had been driving Lyla to a small, modest home on the outskirts of the city, in a neighborhood that seemed far from her life of wealth. This news hit Ali hard. His mind, filled with distrust, started making up darker stories. Did Lyla have a secret life? Was there a lover waiting for her in the shadows of the city? The thought that the woman he loved might be lying to him haunted Ali day and night, stealing his sleep and peace of mind. He couldn't face Lyla directly because he feared the truth would hurt her, or that he might be wrong and cause her pain unfairly. So Ali made a desperate decision. Using his resources, he created a disguise to become Tariq's double. He dyed his hair, wore contact lenses to change his eye color, and changed his voice and posture. He was going to follow Lyla himself and find out the truth. The day Ali put his plan into action, his heart raced. From a distance, he watched as Lyla left the mansion, looking as beautiful as always, but with a worried look he hadn't noticed before. With shaking hands, he started the car and followed her from a safe distance, driving into the less glamorous parts of Dubai. Every turn and stop made his anxiety grow. Finally, the car stopped outside a small house. The walls were old and chipped, and the iron gate was rusty. Ali parked far away, watching as Lyla got out of the car and walked up to the door. His heart was beating hard in his chest. Ali watched as the door opened. He thought he might see a young man, perhaps a former lover from Lyla's past. But what he saw took his breath away. An old man, bent with age and holding a cane, greeted Lyla with a gentle hug. The smile on Lyla's face was filled with a love Ali had never seen before. In that moment, all of Ali's doubts disappeared, like mist in the desert sun. Unable to hold back his curiosity and regret, Ali took off his disguise and walked toward the house. The sound of his footsteps made Lyla turn around, her eyes wide with surprise and fear. "Ali," she whispered, her voice shaking. "What are you doing here?" The old man looked at them both, confused, gripping his cane tightly. Lyla, with tears in her eyes, began to explain. The old man was her father, a carpenter who had worked his whole life to give his daughter a better future. When Lyla met Ali, her father had asked her to keep him a secret, worried that his existence might get in the way of her happiness. "I didn't want you to be ashamed of me," the old man said in a soft, sad voice, speaking to Ali for the first time. Shame and regret filled Ali's heart. He realized how wrong he had been about Lyla, and how much he had let his own doubts cloud his judgment. He knelt down in front of her, asking for forgiveness through his tears. Lyla, with a love and kindness Ali didn't think he deserved, held him tightly, her own tears mixing with his. "I love you, Ali," she whispered. "I've loved you from the start, not for your money or your status, but for your heart." The old man, touched by the scene, stepped forward slowly and placed his wrinkled hand on Ali's shoulder. Then Lyla shared more news that shook Ali's world. With a shy smile and bright eyes, she said, "I'm pregnant." The news hit Ali like rain on a dry desert, filling his doubts with hope and life. Joy rushed over him, washing away all his previous concerns. Ali stood up and hugged Lyla, and in a moment that surprised even him, he also hugged her father. "You're family now," he said with certainty. "I want you to live with us." The old man, overwhelmed by emotion, could only nod, tears streaming down his weathered face. That night, on their way back to the mansion, Ali and Lyla spoke like they never had before. They shared their fears, their hopes, and their dreams. Ali confessed the pressure he had felt, the doubts others had planted in him, and how he had let them cloud his judgment. Lyla spoke about her own struggles, wanting to protect her father while building a new life with Ali. "I promise I will never doubt you again," Ali said, holding Lyla's hands firmly, his voice full of sincerity. "And I promise I'll love our child with all my heart, just as much as I love every part of you." Lyla smiled, a smile so warm it lit up the night like 1,000 stars. "And I promise to always be honest with you, no matter what," she replied. As their car got closer to the mansion, Ali made a decision. They wouldn't live separately in their own world anymore. He decided to invite his mother, his friends, and everyone who doubted Lyla to see the truth for themselves, to witness the real, pure love they shared, a love that went beyond wealth and class. News of Leila's pregnancy and her father's arrival at the al-Rashid mansion quickly spread through Dubai's social circles. Zainab, Ali's mother, felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, the idea of becoming a grandmother made her happy in a way she hadn't felt in years. On the other hand, having Lila's father in her fancy home went against everything she thought was proper. But as time went on, Zainab began to notice a change in her son. Ali was happier than she had seen him in years. She saw him laughing freely with Layla and her father, his eyes shining with a love so pure and real that it began to soften her heart. One afternoon, while Ali was at work, Zainab found herself alone with Leila's father in the garden. The old man sat on a bench, admiring the roses blooming under the desert sun. Hesitantly, Zainab sat down next to him. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" the old man said, pointing to the flowers. "But not as beautiful as the love I see between your son and my daughter." Those simple words touched something deep inside Zainab. In the old man's eyes, she saw the same unconditional love she felt for Ali. At that moment, she realized that true worth isn't found in wealth or social status, but in the ability to love and be loved. Meanwhile, Ali worked hard to create a better future for his growing family. Inspired by Lila's story, he set up scholarship programs for young people in need and invested in clean energy projects, hoping to create a better world for his child. Every evening, he came home to share a meal with his extended family, cherishing the simple love that now filled their home. Lyla also thrived in her new role as a mother. As her belly grew, so did her love for Ali and their family. She spent time with her father, listening to stories from his past and sharing her dreams for the future. Often, Zainab would join them, bringing tea and sweets, slowly building a connection between two worlds that once seemed impossible to bring together. As the due date grew closer, the al-Rashid mansion buzzed with excitement. Ali turned one room into a beautiful nursery, painting the walls himself with scenes from Arabian stories. Lyla knitted blankets and clothes, pouring love and hope into every stitch. Finally, on a clear, starry summer night, Lyla gave birth to a healthy baby boy. Ali held his son in his arms, overwhelmed by the miracle of life. Tears of joy filled his eyes as he looked at Layla, who was tired but glowing. "He's perfect," he whispered, kissing her forehead. In the days that followed, the mansion was filled with the sound of their grandson. Zainab spent hours holding him and singing old lullabies. Lila's father made wooden toys, passing on his skills to the next generation. Watching this, Ali felt his heart fill with happiness. One night, with the whole family gathered in the living room, Ali raised his glass in a toast. "To love," he said, looking at everyone around him, "and to second chances, which help us see the true beauty in life." Everyone raised their glasses in a moment of pure joy and gratitude. Over the months, life at the al-Rashid mansion settled into a new routine. Baby S's cries mixed with the sounds of birds in the garden and the soft sound of the fountains. Ali took on his new role as a father with excitement and nervousness, waking up in the middle of the night to change diapers and comfort S, things he never imagined he would do with such joy. Lyla thrived as a mother, her love for S filling every part of their home. But as time passed, Lyla started feeling restless. Even with all the happiness around her, she missed the independence and purpose her work had once given her. One afternoon, while S was peacefully sleeping in his crib, Lyla approached Ali with a proposal that surprised him. "I want to go back to work," she said, her voice full of determination and nervousness. "Not at the reception, but in something that can really make a difference." Ali, surprised at first, listened carefully as Lyla explained her desire to help other women from humble backgrounds find opportunities in the business world. Even though a part of him worried about how this would change their family life, a bigger part of him felt proud and admired her even more. "I'll support you no matter what," Ali said, holding her hands. "Your strength and compassion are what made me fall in love with you, and I want the world to see how amazing you are." With his support, Lyla started working on her vision, creating a foundation to provide education and job opportunities for women in need. Ali's study became the headquarters of her new project, filled with ideas and plans for a better future. Meanwhile, Zainab and Lila's father formed a surprising friendship as they cared for little S. The grandmother, with her grace, and the grandfather, with his simple wisdom and hard-working hands, perfectly balanced each other in looking after the baby. They shared stories of Arabian Nights and the folk tales Lila's father had heard when he was young. But not everything was perfect. Lila's decision to work outside the home led to criticism from some people in their social circle. Some of the al-Rashid family's friends couldn't understand why the wife of a wealthy man would need to work. Rumors and disapproving looks began to spread again. Ali, remembering the lessons he had learned, stood strong in his support for Lyla. At a gala dinner with Dubai's elite, he took the microphone and spoke passionately about his wife's work and the need for equal opportunities. His words, filled with love and confidence, silenced the critics and earned him respect from many. As Lila's foundation grew, new challenges appeared. Balancing work, motherhood, and family life turned out to be harder than Lila expected. There were nights filled with frustration and tears, and moments when she questioned if she had made the right choice. In one of those difficult times, Ali surprised her. One evening after putting S to bed, he led her out to the garden, where they sat under the moonlight and stars. He had prepared a quiet dinner for them. "I want you to know," he said while pouring her tea, "I'm proud of your strength, your vision, and your heart. No matter how tough it gets, we're in this together." His words, filled with unconditional love, gave Lyla the strength to keep going. Together, they found a new balance. They shared responsibilities, supported each other in their work, and never forgot the love that brought them together. As his first birthday approached, Lila's foundation started to show results. Women from all over Dubai, and even from other areas, began to benefit from her programs. The al-Rashid mansion, once a symbol of wealth and luxury, had become a place of hope and change. Time passed quickly, marked by S's first unsteady steps, which soon turned into joyful runs down the marble hallways. As their son grew, Ali and Lila began to think about the legacy they wanted to leave, not just for S, but for the whole community around them. Lila's foundation grew and became a model for social change in the UAE. Women who had once been stuck in early marriages or low-paying jobs were now starting their own businesses, leading teams, and most importantly, finding hope in a new path. Inspired by Lila's success, Ali began to rethink his own business practices. He called a meeting with the company's board and suggested big changes. He wanted the oil company to invest in renewable energy, introduce gender equality at all levels, and donate a large part of its profits to community projects. Some of the more traditional board members were skeptical. "We're in the business of making money, not charity," one senior executive said. But Ali, with strong belief in his ideas, replied, "We're here to build a better future. Money is just a tool to help us get there." While Ali worked to change the company from within, Lyla faced her own challenges. As her foundation gained more attention, she became a public figure, getting invites to international conferences and interviews with the media. The pressure of being a voice for change while balancing her family life became overwhelming at times. During one of these overseas events, Lyla got a call that shook her. Her father had a heart attack and was in the hospital. Without thinking, she took the first flight back to Dubai, torn between worry for her father and guilt for being away. When she arrived at the hospital, she saw something she didn't expect. Ali was sitting beside her father, holding his hand and speaking to him gently in Arabic. In the room with them were some of the women whose lives had been changed by Lila's foundation. Slowly, Lila's father began to get better, and as he grew stronger, the family became closer. Ali spent afternoons playing cards with his father-in-law, listening to his stories and learning lessons that no business book could teach. Zainab, Ali's mother, found a new joy in cooking, making her father-in-law's favorite dishes and filling the house with comforting smells. This experience helped Ali and Lyla think deeply about what real wealth and success meant. One evening, after S had fallen asleep, Ali shared an idea he had been thinking about. "I want to build a city," he said, his eyes filled with excitement. "Not just any city, but one that's all about sustainability, equality, and opportunity for everyone." Lyla listened carefully as he described his dream of a community powered by solar energy, with schools and hospitals for all, where tradition and modern innovation live together. It will be a place where everyone, no matter their background, can thrive, Ali said, where our son can grow up learning about hard work, compassion, and unity. Lyla took his hands in hers, her eyes full of pride. It's a beautiful dream, she said, and together we'll make it happen. As baby S slept peacefully in his crib, they began planning, not just for their future, but for a whole community. The al-Rashid mansion, once a symbol of wealth and exclusivity, would become the center of a new legacy, one based on love, equality, and hope for a better future for all. Ali and Lila decided to call the project Amal, meaning hope in Arabic. It quickly began to take shape. Ali's vision, combined with Lila's experience in community development, attracted urban planners, architects, and experts in sustainability from around the world. The land on the outskirts of Dubai, once empty and ignored, began to transform. Huge solar panels rose from the desert, bringing clean energy to the future city. Engineers created water recycling systems that would turn Al-Amal into a green oasis in the middle of the desert. As construction moved forward, Ali and Lila made sure every decision they made reflected the values they wanted for their community. The schools in Al-Amal were built to encourage creativity and critical thinking. The health centers combined modern medicine with traditional healing methods. Public spaces were designed to help people from different cultures and backgrounds connect and understand each other. But the journey wasn't without problems. Some people criticized the project, saying it was too unrealistic and impossible to achieve. Others, who were more skeptical, thought Ali was just trying to make himself and his company look good. But Ali and Lila stayed strong in their vision, facing every challenge with determination and working hard to make their dream come true. Their young son, S, now a curious and lively 5-year-old, inspired them every day. His innocent questions about why things were the way they were often made Ali and Lila rethink parts of the project, making sure Al-Amal would be a safe and happy place for children to grow up. As the city began to take shape, Ali and Lila made sure it wasn't just something decided from the top down. They held community meetings, inviting future residents to share their thoughts and concerns. This openness helped them gain the trust of many, and soon people from all over the UAE and beyond wanted to be part of the new community. 3 years after construction began, the first families started moving into Al-Amal. Though the city was still growing, it already reflected the vibrant and diverse community Ali and Lila had dreamed of. The streets were alive with children laughing and playing in parks designed to spark their creativity, while adults gathered in cafes mixing traditional and modern flavors. The buildings, a blend of modern Arabic design and sustainable features, stood tall against the desert skyline. Their walls were covered with solar panels and vertical gardens, showing that the future had arrived. Ali, Lila, their 8-year-old son S, and their newborn twin daughters, Zainab and Amina, moved into a home in the heart of Al-Amal. Unlike the grand mansion they left behind, their new home was warm and welcoming, just like the homes of their neighbors. Living among the people in this community showed how committed Ali and Lila were to equality and unity. Lila's foundation became a key part of Al-Amal, helping local entrepreneurs with training and support. Many women who had been helped by the foundation were now running their own businesses, from bakeries to tech startups. Meanwhile, Ali had completely changed his family's business. What used to be an oil empire was now leading the way in renewable energy technology, with Al-Amal itself serving as a symbol of these changes. However, things didn't always go as planned. The city's rapid growth brought new challenges, with cultural differences causing misunderstandings as people from different backgrounds came together. Managing the growth while protecting the environment was difficult and needed constant adjustments. Still, these challenges showed the true strength of Al-Amal. The community worked together to solve problems, finding creative solutions and building stronger connections. 10 years after Al-Amal was created, it had become a symbol of hope and progress, not just for the UAE, but for the whole world. People from governments and international organizations visited the city regularly, eager to learn from its model of sustainable and inclusive development. Now in their 50s, Ali and Lila looked proudly at everything they had built. Their love, which once seemed like a modern fairy tale, had grown into a powerful force for change and a brighter future. Their son S, now 18, was preparing to go to college. Having grown up watching his parents work hard to make their dreams a reality, He was determined to carry on their legacy in his own way. The twins, Zainab and Amina, now 10 years old, reflected the unity and diversity that made Al-Amal special. Their curious minds and kind hearts mirrored the city itself. One warm summer evening, the al-Rashid family gathered in the community garden, a space they had helped create when Al-Amal was first starting. Lyla's father, now an elder in the community, played with his granddaughters and Zainab. Ali's mother Zainab chatted happily with a group of neighbors, her earlier doubts about everyday people long forgotten. As the sun set over Al-Amal, coloring the sky with golden pink, Ali took Lyla's hand and looked into her eyes. "Did you ever think we'd come this far?" he asked with a smile. Tears of happiness filled Lyla's eyes as she answered, "I always knew our love could move mountains. But this is more than I ever imagined." Looking at their family and the community they had built, Ali and Lila realized that their love story had grown into something bigger. It had become a story of hope, change, and the possibility of a better world. In the heart of the desert, a city had grown from the love of two people who dared to dream. Al-Amal stood as proof that, with love, compassion, and determination, even the boldest dreams can come true. Al-Amal wasn't just a city, it was a reminder that with love, hope, and determination, even the wildest dreams can take root and grow. Ali and Lila's journey showed that true wealth isn't just about what we gather in life, but about the legacy we leave behind. A legacy of unity, kindness, and opportunity for everyone. If this story inspired you, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories of change, resilience, and passion. We'd love to hear your thoughts. How would you build a better world? Share with us in the comments below. Thank you for watching, supporting, and being part of our journey. Until next time, stay inspired and keep dreaming big.